Welcome back to the Inner Journeys, Outer Adventures podcast. Today, my guest is owner of Patriot Lawn and Landscaping, loving husband and father, Dillin Brissette. Welcome, Dillin.
Well, thank you, sir.
We're going to learn all about you today.
Fantastic. We'll see who wants to actually listen to this.
Hopefully somebody.
Maybe.
Maybe
see.
somebody that loves you.
Yeah, I at least got a few of them. I got you across from me. So I got one person at least on my list.
That's good. Yeah, there you go. Have Lincoln watch it.
Oh, he's going to love it.
Yeah, there you go. Watching Dad. So, really, to learn about somebody, you got to start at the beginning.
Cool.
Childhood. How was your life like growing up?
I would say...
What was the family dynamic?
So I was born in Massachusetts. We moved to Janesville, Wisconsin, Milton, Wisconsin when I was 5. For my dad's work, my great uncle, I believe, owned a plastics company called New England Extrusions. So there was a plant out in Massachusetts. I wouldn't say franchise, but expanded to Janesville. So we moved here for that. So I grew up in Milton, Wisconsin. Lived there till I was 20. Then moved to Eau Claire. I would say growing up, I would have had average, typical childhood. Parents were awesome. 2 siblings, 2 sisters. Allison, who is 2 years younger than me, and then my sister Katie is 10 years.
Younger?
Younger, yep, both younger. I'm the oldest. So I really don't... Only thing I guess, if we were going to go deep here, the only thing I really growing up is that not a lot of people know it, but my mother, I consider my mother, Leslie, she's actually my stepmother. My biological mother is Judy. She lives out in Vegas somewhere. That was probably something I struggled with most of my life. There was a really weird dynamic of her being in our life, and I didn't know about her. I knew about her, but I've yet to meet her since I was like 3.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you even remember seeing her face at all?
Don't remember anything at all. We've been in contact and in touch, and I have been an asshole. I've been... I just want to make sure the full story's out there. Yeah. If I'm going to go into this, it's obviously my viewpoint of it and whatever, but my parents did the best they could. I know I definitely had childhood trauma because of it, because it led to things later on in my life of not trusting women.
So when did you learn about your stepmom wasn't your biological mom?
So I knew that since I was, so I knew that the whole time. I didn't know, okay. So let's see here. This is going to go real interesting. So my mother, Leslie, who is my stepmom, but she's my mom.
Yep.
She basically babysat and took care of us since we were 1, is what my understanding was.
Okay.
My story of how this thing goes is my biological mother, Judy, left Massachusetts, went to Vegas with the kids, and then my dad came out a few months later and got us back, I wouldn't say grabbed us, but took custody back over us, and then went back to Massachusetts.
Okay.
During that meantime, then Leslie was a good family friend of my dad's, and they started dating, and then she became the mother in my life.
Gotcha.
So I don't remember exactly how or what, but how I found out about Judy, I can remember being maybe 5 or 6 years old, and actually it's probably 8 years old. We got how did that go? Something along the lines of she started communicating with us through phone, and
okay.
So we started getting conversations with her on the phone, sent us a few birthday gifts, and then she would just disappear. She wouldn't talk to us, wouldn't call us, and that really hurt me because I didn't know why she was doing the things she was doing. And, I can't speak much for her and whatnot. And it's, it hurt me, really, now that I'm speaking about this out loud, I would say it fucked me up per se. I couldn't accept my stepmom as my mom because she wasn't my mom.
Right.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When you mature, it took me till I was probably 18 or 19 to really understand what my mom Leslie did for me and my family, and
be appreciative of it.
And the respect for her.
Right.
I remember when she married my dad. I was like, I don't want this lady in my life because I still, my mom to me at that point was Judy.
Right.
And as a child, it's hard to correlate that kind of shit. It's hard to understand what's going on with that. And then the last thing I remembered was I think it was in October of when I was 12. She called us one night, and I told my dad I didn't want to talk to her. And then I didn't hear from her after that. She said, actually, no, she told my dad to write down, and I still have this fucking letter. I had to write down everything why I was upset and didn't want to talk to her. And
Oh my.
yeah, and it was stupid, petty shit.
Well, you're 12 years
Yeah,
old.
it was like, because you said you would send me money. You said you would come visit us,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
So it's all little broken promises.
yep, exactly, 100%. And then it went to, I think I was like 17 or 18 years old, and then all of a sudden my phone blew up one day when my sister put me on Facebook and put my fucking phone number on there.
Yeah.
And she somehow was on Facebook, got my phone number, and then the whole fucking chaos exploded.
Okay.
So that led to, at that point in my time, I was going to Whitewater, and one of my wrestling coaches, Matt Warner, always told me, he had a similar situation, but not to this extent. This meaning that somebody always has it worse than you is so true. I won't get into exactly what his detail was, but he helped me a lot through my high school days wrestling because of dealing with this emotional trauma that I would talk to him about. It would come and go for me. Like, it would hit me at certain times and other times, and I always put thick skin on and think like it didn't bother me, but truly deep down it did. And he had like I said, similar situation with his father, but not to my extent, and I won't go into it for details for him, but it was worse what he went through than what I was going through. And
So I'm sure he gave you some context and then what lessons he learned and how to process these things.
yeah, yep, for sure. And what he said was, forgive and forget. You have to learn how to forgive somebody and just move on. And when you're 17 years old, you're like, fuck, that's
That's incredibly hard to do.
Yeah. Am I now? Yes. I knew I was just actually talking to my wife, Emily, about this. Like, I am truly at peace with what has happened. I always thought to myself that I would like to meet her someday before she passes or I pass.
Yeah.
Now I've accepted the fact that I don't need that in my life. I have truly done, I feel, 90% of everything I possibly could to rekindle this relationship or have tried to make a contact or an impact to make it, and she just hasn't fallen through on her end.
Right.
She has, but she hasn't. I think the biggest thing is that I've even offered to buy plane tickets and have her fly out here, and her first thing she said to me was, well, is your sister going to be there? So to me, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, fuck it, that's it. That took me a while to even fucking get over. And I think a lot of that trauma too, when I was growing up, and I can't believe I'm using the word trauma all the time because that's fucking.
It is.
It is, but it is.
I know there's a stigma around it.
Yeah.
Like, people are throwing it around like it's
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But you legit went through emotional trauma. And growing up very young age, knowing that you had a biological mother that wasn't there for you.
Yeah.
That's trauma.
Yeah.
Because at that age, if you're that young, you probably don't feel loved.
Yeah. No. No matter what, my mom and my dad loved the fuck out of me. But when you're missing that and not
Your actual mother,
yes.
your biological mother doesn't love you, that messes up a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's taking you, what are you, 29?
31.
31?
32.
32. It's taking you 32 years to resolve that, really.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work that you have to put in to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
And you have to want to put in the work to do
Yeah.
it, too.
And that's the thing is, like, it took a while to. I wouldn't know if I guess I could put the work in. When I think of work, you and I, you're my trainer and whatever, and work to me is like physical work. But there's also a thing I've learned is mental work.
Mm-hmm.
Like mental, personal excellence, mental toughness is actually a different type of work that people don't see you doing.
Yeah.
And that's the work I think I've now learned. What you just mentioned was I have put in the work mentally. Thanks, Justin. To do the.
We can keep this in. Keep going.
to get over this. And so when I was 18, before I tie this back here, I started rekindling the relationship. At that point in my life, actually it's probably 21 or 22 now, I was alcoholic maybe. I drank a lot. And I would only have the courage to text or message her
When you're drunk.
when I was drunk. And I think a lot of my pain came out of myself when I was drunk, and my wife would agree. She's made the comments before that she was in survival mode in the beginning of our relationship and our marriage, and we can talk about that later or whatever, and what that's come about now. But that was the only time I had the balls, per se, that liquid courage to bring it up, or it would affect me then. So, I did a lot of stupid shit and things that weren't the right things to do to a person who was said my mother. That do I regret? No, I don't regret things in life, but I've learned from them now that's not the way to handle things.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned that even if I had that emotion, I could have done it in a better mindset or better manner.
Yeah.
But I've expressed everything to her, and I believe, put everything on the line per se, or try to get both sides of the story to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, I should reference this that we do work out together.
Yeah.
I do train
give
you.
a little background
Yeah,
on how we met each other.
Yeah. So we met each other last year, and it was through a random Facebook message.
Yep.
That we came together. You were looking to step things up in your training.
Yep.
In your physical life.
Yeah.
And me and you are very similar when you mentioned that, like, physical work, we know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, we know how to grind. We know how to push ourselves physically. It's the opposite of that, which is the mental side of, like, reading books, reflecting, journaling, giving yourself space and time to think about things and process things. That took me a very long time to do. And I would say last year was probably the first year that I really understood how to do that. And it's taken me probably since I've started working here at Fit Elite and being under Dave. He has a lot of patience and understanding and helping you grow as a person.
That's awesome.
So that would be the start of how I can actually do the quote unquote mental work.
Yeah.
We don't have a better word for that.
No.
So we'll use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and you are very similar in that aspect of we know how to push ourselves hard. We know how to work, but the opposite side is sitting with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable or not. I think everybody's uncomfortable with sitting with their thoughts.
Yeah,
to
because
some
they kick
level.
your ass.
Yeah. Whether you have, like, trauma like you, I have nothing like that.
Yeah.
In my life.
Depending on how deep you want to go, you have some trauma from your past situations that we've talked about.
I mean,
That's still trauma, though, isn't it? It fucked you up.
not as bad as you.
Yeah, but it's still can't compare my level of trauma to your level of trauma, but you
True.
still experienced some type of trauma
Yeah.
that's holding you back in other areas per se.
Yeah. You're right.
What was that?
You're right.
Oh, okay.
You're right, Dylan. I know. People love when they hear they're right.
No, I love giving you shit.
I know. Okay. So, and then we probably had similar college experiences, except I wouldn't, tell people dumb shit when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
No, I would, because, you're drunk.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You're telling people dumb shit all the time. I'll just say ridiculous, stupid things
Yeah.
that, as I look back on it, I'm like, why the hell did I say that?
Oh yeah, that was.
And it wasn't like I'm not an aggressive person, so I'm not like attacking anybody when I'm drunk. I'm just saying stupid
Shit that comes
random blabber that's coming to my head. And I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic because I wasn't drinking every day in college, but I was getting wasted every weekend.
Yeah.
3-4 days.
Well, isn't that what the stigma is? Isn't that what college is about?
Yeah,
know?
That's what I went through it for. Apparently.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
A vast majority of people see that as what college is for, is partying.
I think you get some good life experience from that.
Yeah.
But it's also a waste of time if you're not going to.
I got a ticket and learned not to piss in a bush during,
I almost got a ticket.
Yeah.
Peeing on the side of a building once.
Yep.
Cops were off the side. What are you doing over there? Nothing. Zip up.
Yeah.
Walk on.
Yep. The old bike cops in Whitewater got me back in the day.
All right. Sidetracked.
Yeah.
And so how did that affect? So how long have you been with your wife?
Oh, shit. We were high school sweethearts. We started dating in 2009. So 15 years.
Long time.
Half my fucking life.
How? When did you guys get married?
You fucker. 2018. Be nice 6 years this year.
Quick test for you.
Yeah, right? October 13th, 2018.
There you go. Emily's going to be happy about that.
She would.
It's on record.
December 20th, 2009 is our official anniversary, though.
And you said the beginning of your relationship was survival mode for her.
For her, yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't marriage.
I guess I wouldn't say, no, in beginning of our marriage. I guess.
Marriage, okay.
Yeah, marriage per se. Because like 2018 till she moved up, 2009 to 2015, she moved up here in 2015, I believe it was, because she was still going to Whitewater for school and whatever.
Okay.
So I went to 2009 graduated high school, 2010 I graduated high school, went to Whitewater for a year, then took a year off, lived back home, And then I moved up to Eau Claire with my friends who were just graduating high school for fire medic training. Thought that was a good idea. I didn't want to do the business management thing anymore at Whitewater. Couldn't see myself sitting in an office all day. And that's how I always thought business management was being inside. Mm-hmm. So then, yeah, she moved up here, I think it was 2014 or 2015.
So you guys did long distance for a while.
We did, 3 years of it.
What was that like?
So when I moved up here in 2012, we was rocky. Then we took a 6 month off.
Oh.
And it was, I think for me, because we had only known each other and how to live together or live with each other from 2009 to 2011 or 12, being only like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Her parents and my parents only live 8 minutes away back home. So family vacations and Christmases and shit are awesome.
Yeah.
But when we first experienced that 3-hour gap, it was stupid. Like, it was rough because I was stubborn. She's stubborn. She wanted me to always be talking to her and calling her, and I always wanted to be living in Eau Claire, figuring out what the fuck I wanted to do next.
Yep.
I was definitely obviously immature and didn't put the time into the relationship like I obviously do now. So yeah, 6 months off. I somehow went back home to see a different girl that weekend, and she stood me up, got hammered, and I don't condone this in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe drinking and driving is the right thing to do, on the record. Somehow my buddy, I'll leave him out of it because he was the one driving that night. We made it back to her house in Whitewater from Janesville, Wisconsin, and I woke up at her in her.
Is that like an hour drive?
Oh, 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
Yeah.
okay.
We ended up there somehow. And that rekindled and restarted our fucking relationship. I believe everything happens for a reason. And what she has gone through and what I've put her through, I don't think I bet you other people have done the same bullshit and whatever.
Yeah.
But it grew us in other aspects of me realizing how strong she is and where do I want to go with this? She moved in with me in 2015 moved up here, and then we lived at a buddy's house for a while. Then we got our own place and whatever, and then we got married in 2018. And when in 2018, my life, 5 years ago, 7 years ago now, right?
2024 to 2020.
6 years ago.
Yeah, 6.
I had not gotten out of my drinking state yet.
Yeah.
I was at FOMO. I was always wanting to be with my buddies at the bar, partying. Mm-hmm. And she never understood, or she tried to explain, try to get across to me, why don't you want to be home? Why don't you want to be this? And I'm just like, it's nothing to do with you. She's more of a homebody per se, and she doesn't need to go out and have fun with her friends or anything like that. And she does, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't her life at the time.
Yep.
And I could never see that. I always wanted to go to the next adventure, go do the next thing. So,
do you think you're avoiding something, or do you think it's purely just because fear of missing out with your friends, having these good times?
I don't know what there would be what fear could be avoiding. I don't know. I don't think so. Why do you ask?
Well, I'm just wondering if that's the reason why you're always going out and not spending time.
No, I don't think there was anything along those lines for that. Okay. I think it was just me being stupid and wanting to party and not hang out with my wife.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I was always wanting to be able to hang out with my buddies on the weekends and drink and do all this stupid shit that I look back on and I don't regret anything either because it's brought me to the point where I am.
Yep.
But I also wish I didn't black out almost every single weekend.
Yeah.
Probably not good for my brain.
No, probably not. It seems to be working fine now, though.
Yeah, because I haven't really drank much in the past 2-3 years. Every once in a while I'll drink. But
besides that weekend in Madison a few months ago?
That was a relapse.
Yeah.
That was a relapse in the college days. Yeah. Me and my brother had this conversation. If we actually went to Madison for college, we would have been kicked out.
Oh, yeah.
The first semester.
Yep.
Because we love Badgers.
Yep.
We would have went to every football game.
Yep.
We've been doing all the belligerent, dumb shit that happens there.
Yeah.
And I would have been kicked out of class because I wasn't going, I bet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Even though I had a dream of playing college football for the Badgers.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I went to a bunch of camps for them.
Oh, really?
In the summer, they have high school camps.
Yeah.
Stuff like that where they evaluate players.
What was your evaluation?
Well, it's basically it's trying to build up your skills and
Yeah.
stuff. And while they're doing that, they're also who's going to be our next
Why'd you stop
recruit?
doing that, or what happened there?
Well, I went 2-3 years of it, until I, graduated.
Okay.
And I wasn't up to par.
Gotcha. Where'd you play football at?
Being 5'8" and 170 pounds, I don't think that jumps out to anybody.
I gotcha.
And I wasn't outstanding enough of a player to be a D1 athlete.
And you didn't want to walk on?
No, I got a scholarship to Minnesota State Moorhead.
Okay.
And
I didn't know
that's
that.
where I went to play football. Partial. Because it was a D2 college, and
Yep.
they can only give out partial scholarships.
Gotcha.
They're not allowed to do full scholarships. So I went there for 2 years. Thought I should be playing. Wasn't playing. So then I moved to Eau Claire in 2014. Fall of 2014 is when I came here.
Nice.
And I played 1 year of college football for Eau Claire. Hated the coaches. Was drinking too much. I was also 21. I also had friends that weren't playing football, and they were drinking every weekend.
And you lost the vision of being a football player and just wanted to...
Yeah, I lost the love for it.
Yeah.
I didn't have passion for it anymore. Coaches I didn't like, didn't connect with. There wasn't that many people on the team that I connected with.
Yeah, that's hard. If it's something you love to do and no one else is there that's embracing that love of the sport for you.
And I had friends from high school that I was really good friends with, and I wanted to spend time with them and hang out with them, and they were drinking.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that looks like fun.
Yep.
I'll do that.
Yep. I know what you mean.
Yeah, yep. So from there, we're here.
Nice.
So since I've known you, you've always come out to me. You asked me this on Thursday. We had a little meeting on Thursday, a little faith meeting. You came across to me very driven.
Yeah.
Very open.
Oh, you're answering the question I asked you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very driven, very open.
Yeah.
And a super honest guy.
Yeah.
You didn't hide anything from me.
Yep.
Like we talked about your daughter's
Yeah.
death.
Yep.
The second
Yeah.
we met.
Yeah.
In person.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's easy to connect with somebody that is able to be that vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you were just throwing the sob story at me.
Yeah.
I asked you the question.
Yep.
And you just honestly answered me. With you being such a driven guy, have you always been that driven your entire life?
I've always, to a certain extent, yeah. I think it has come and gone in spurts. I remember being, so I grew up playing sports, played hockey for like 8 years, played baseball, soccer, all that shit. And then like by sixth grade, going into seventh grade, was just kind of like you with the college level. I wouldn't say I was bullied, but I didn't get along with many people. I was like an outcast per se. Like I just didn't stick out to the group, the popular groups. Mm-hmm. So my sport was hockey, and Janesville being away, like 20 minutes away, my parents couldn't be able to move me to the school district or drive me every day. So I gave up that love for hockey. And the people that were in my grade, I was a better catcher than some people and whatever, but the politics and bullshit behind sports, like, I just knew I wasn't going to be at that level or be able to get, I would have been, and maybe this is my view, obviously my viewpoint on it, but it just to me seemed like it makes sense to continue investing time in those sports if I knew I wasn't going to get the fair chance per se or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I lost my drive for anything but probably 7th or 8th grade. I think I played basketball for middle school and whatever, and there was nothing there. And then a family member of mine who I've always looked up to, Seth Underwood, he was becoming a big high school wrestling star, and we moved from Massachusetts with the Underwood family here, and he was always like my bigger brother to me, like one of my idols per se.
Yeah.
And so he was wrestling, and I'm like,
He was your
fuck it.
role model.
Yeah, role model, yep.
Yeah.
So I freshman year joined the wrestling team. And it was a huge reality check of being humbled. Like,
I bet.
I had a chip on my shoulder because I was going to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And that chip got knocked off real fucking quick.
Uh-huh.
I remember, like, first week of practice, like, going to take a shower afterwards and not even being able to get my hands on my head to fucking, like...
So sore,
yeah,
so
to
beat
wash
up.
my hair and
Yep.
shit. So
Yep.
that's, I think, when a lot of my driven...
Your passion came back.
Yeah, my passion came back. Like, I've always had big dreams, always, wanted to accomplish great things. Just never knew how to get there. And I always thought, like, you could visualize this kind of shit, but not, and then it would come to you. But I always forgot the key recipe. And I was actually just talking with my buddy Sam Anik said last night or Friday night about this. Like, I believe in manifestation and visualization, but I was missing the key component of doing the fucking work.
Yeah.
So that realization now just hit me, and not just hit me, but so like going back to the wrestling days, I've got this drive for wrestling and being a great wrestler, being a state champ and whatnot. So I've had on my wall in my room since I was my freshman year at state champ that I looked at every fucking day for 4 years. And this is where the power of visualization comes in for me, is like freshman year wasn't much of a great wrestler, was learning the basics. And just a little background, Milton Wrestling is a D1 school that's always in the top running for making it to the state tournament and whatever. Very good producing high school, whatever, and great coaches. Pat Yelk is one of my best friends, which you now know. Have you met him through our, we're doing a little background what Corey was saying about the faith group. We've been doing a Wild at Heart coaching program together, or not coaching program.
Yeah,
but,
not a coaching program.
Wild at Heart study.
Yeah, the study guide.
Yeah.
Faith-based.
Yeah. Yep.
Talking about the beginning of the Bible and
Yeah.
and what it means to be a masculine man.
Yeah.
Like,
Nope. That's
rediscovering masculinity.
That's why you have a podcast and summarize it better than I did.
Been trying.
So,
Back to wrestling.
yep. So sophomore year became a better, well-rounded individual. Was starting to do really well at the JV level. Got my first opportunity at varsity.
What weight class?
So I wrestled anywhere from 119 to 140. Basically, 135, 130 was my wheelhouse. And my 130
You don't seem like you would have to cut that much to be there.
So I was going in at like 140 beginning of the year, 145, and then with the first few weeks of practice, all that water weight and getting back into a good routine, I was probably down to 135.
Without much.
Yeah, and I wasn't one of those stupid idiots who freaking spit in a bottle and all that bullshit. Like, dude, that stuff fucking pisses me off. Like, if it's really smart, if you really know how to lose weight, eating more meals keeps your energy burning, like can help you lower. But in high school, people don't think that the way. They see the cool.
Oh, my friends in high school didn't eat, and they look completely miserable.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah. There's right and wrong ways to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely, to
Well,
my opinion.
I mean, also, if you don't have good information
Correct.
at that level and your coaches don't know how to do it very well.
Well, I think
and
the
they're not
biggest
relaying
issue,
that
our
information
coaches
to you.
were great, and our coaches told us how to do it. People were just stubborn dickheads who didn't want to listen to a coach
Yeah.
and want to do it their own way.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, as you're becoming into
Correct.
adolescence and you're getting your hormones, your testosterone kicking, you know better than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. I still do.
Do you?
No, I've learned
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
kidding.
sarcasm.
I knew you'd say that.
So yeah, it was sophomore
Sophomore
year,
year, you got your first.
first varsity experience. Our team actually made it to team state that year, and we got our asses kicked by Kakana. But it was a learning experience. My coach brought me there because he saw the potential in me, brought me on the state roster, and just to get that experience because he saw where I could possibly go and where our team was going to go in the next few years. First full season at varsity level my junior year. I think I was just barely above 500, and so like every step in sports, you know, you got that JV to varsity, there's a jump. Varsity to college is a jump. College to professional is a jump. So I got over that jump.
From JV to varsity.
JV to varsity took me my junior
Getting your
year.
feet wet, you're understanding this level of competition now.
Oh yeah.
And how athletic these guys are, and you can't underestimate anything.
Yep.
You got to be on top of your shit.
Yeah, and I was one of the guys that had the heart and the passion to, work every day to bust my ass to get there. Didn't have a skill set. Some of these guys on my team were fucking talented as fuck, but
super
they
athletic.
weren't putting in the work behind it, and they were just getting off their talents.
So when you say put in the work, what were you doing?
Gyms in the morning, staying after practice.
What's gym in the morning? What does that mean?
I'd go running in the morning on my own time, go to the weight room, or have my coach let me in and practice with him, drill with him.
Okay.
Find other guys who wanted to do the same thing. Any opportunity I could. I was in the summer times would go to a wrestling camp. One of my coaches gave me a book, and I can't remember the name of the book. It was about the Iowa State guy or Iowa team and their mindset for wrestling, and a workbook that I remember going through. Anything I could just to keep pushing the drive to be a state champ.
Okay. So that's where early on in your life you kind of learn the amount of work it requires to reach high goals.
Yep.
Like big dreams that you have.
Yeah.
There's a shitload of work that you have to put in.
Yeah. And obviously looking back, and we all can do this with anything in life, there's more work I could have done. I could have trained harder. I could have done other things.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. Yeah.
And so going into my senior year, I was captain. There was a quote that I was the heartbeat of the team.
So you went from freshman year, first time ever wrestling, to senior year, you're captain of the team.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's quite the rise.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's, I've never seen it, so I don't want people thinking I have this big ego chip. I do have a chip on my shoulder, so that's just how I am. It's my.
Well, you're not an arrogant person. I know you, and you're not an arrogant person.
No, but the thing is, people think I'm arrogant. Anyone who meets me, and my first impression with you probably was, I think maybe I matured a little bit with my arrogance per se.
I didn't get the impression that you're arrogant.
I appreciate
at
that.
all.
No, well, that's good to hear, because it gets out there that people think I'm an arrogant asshole. So, and it doesn't bother me, because really, if you're not paying my bills or you're not my wife, I don't give two fucks what you think about me. And don't get me wrong, like, I'll take people's opinions, people like for you who I respect, that if you give me a piece of advice and you have what I have or I want to accomplish in life, I will take advice from those people. But people who are not living the life that I want to live, or have the goals, or aren't the kind of person I look up to, then, my opinion, your opinion means nothing to me. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know where that came from.
Well, I mean, it's a good filter, right?
Yeah.
Because you just can't listen to everybody's opinion.
No.
People are usually projecting what they see for themselves onto somebody else.
Yeah. And when people make comments to you, like, say, I heard Alex Hormozy's, I listened to Alex Hormozy's podcast. He made a comment like, some guy walking down the street called his wife a skinny little bitch. Well,
you have zero context of what that means.
Exactly. You have no idea what that person's going. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. Typically, when someone reflects a comment to you,
you don't know if it was sarcasm.
Yes, or it's something that they're dealing with personally,
right,
that they're usually attacking you with, because that's how they feel about themselves.
Right.
And then she took it to the level of, man, I'm doing really good then, because I used to think I'm a fat person.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I heard them talk about that.
Yeah.
Alex was saying it to his wife, Layla.
Yep.
Yeah. And she took it as a compliment, or no, somebody said it to her.
Yeah.
She took it as a compliment because
Correct.
she wants to be a skinny
Yes,
little bitch.
yes. So that's just the thing, is like how you can take someone's.
And it's how you take any message anybody tells you.
Anything.
Right. So
you have the power of choice.
Yeah. So that leads me to something I've read in my Stoic books, and now I lost it, but whatever. I'll babble until I figure it out.
Yeah.
But
is there a time limit on this motherfucker?
No.
Oh, okay.
Going through life. Oh man, now you really got me off.
So senior year of high school.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Yeah, no, it's good. Senior high school. Going back to the visualization thing, I had the huge goal to get my coach Pat. Our team state. Obviously, I want individual state, but I focused more on team state. I think I had a concept in my mind that I wasn't good enough for. I knew I wanted to make individual state. My mind was there. I got fucked in my first round of sectionals. Bullshit, in my opinion, and my coach's opinion. Bullshit call. I got stuck and got pinned, even though my shoulders don't even get me on that one. So anyways, I bawl my eyes out, lose first round of sectionals. Now my focus is on team state. And we made it to the actual finals against Wisconsin Rapids my senior year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes back to
that is what you're looking at every day, state championships.
Yep. So now, like, I look back in my life, and the power of visualization and manifestation has come, like, I keep realizing, like, I'm a big deer hunter. And growing up, I always, like, there's 3 different specific bucks I remember visualizing, seeing, hunting in the woods. Like, I have.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have 3 specific examples. Big 10, like, back in, like, 2013. Another 9-pointer back in, like, 2015, and then this giant 8-pointer in 2019 or 2021 in Kansas. I remember, it's like, when I got trail cam pictures of them, I would always visualize these deer, but I never visualized harvesting the deer. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So I've never harvested the deer, but I've always saw them and had opportunities.
Yep.
So now this year, if people follow me on social media, I had this big 8-pointer on camera this year, and I had him at 45 yards anyways. So in September of this year, I will kill that deer. I've been visualizing killing that deer every day for the past.
Actually letting go.
Yes.
Seeing it go through.
This is the power
watching
of
it drop.
Yes. Like, the people who are there helping me recover this deer, like, I have this whole thing in my mind, and I can't wait for that to come twofold and, be able to show people, like, actually the power of what you can do to visualize things.
And that's not to say that it's going to happen this year, but at some point in your life it'll happen. Right?
Yes. I believe it's going to happen this year.
Right.
I believe it's going to happen September 14th.
But whether it does or doesn't,
yes,
you know that it will happen.
Yes. Yep. And I think the thing with the visualization aspect, since we're on it, is you can visualize all the fuck you want, but until you actually put the work in, like we spoke about earlier. Like, you can visualize having $1 million or this big ripped body or the wife of your dreams, but if you're not putting in the work to get it, it's just a thought.
Yeah. And if you don't know how to put in the work,
Yeah.
you need to find somebody that does.
Yeah. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do or getting the results that you want. Mm-hmm. That's like why I found you, is because I wanted to bring my personal level or my physical level to the next step. Mm-hmm. In the past year, you've helped me get out of my plateau or whatever I was doing and boosted my shit.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Here to help.
And it's more than just physical. Like our looking back, do you think we would have been this close a year from now?
No.
Never in
it
my...
hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah. Actually,
and I feel like I've known you for a long time.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because of the person you are.
Yeah.
Like, you're not afraid to share things that have happened in your life.
Yeah.
And that was how we connected so instantly. And we are also, like, very similar people.
Yeah.
We're both pretty darn driven.
Yep.
We both know how to push ourselves and like to push ourselves. And we're both, like, putting in the same work, I would say. Like, working on a lot of the same things in trying to better ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we instantly connected.
Yeah. I agree.
Which has been a very valuable piece in my life.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You have been definitely a piece in my life that's made me get to the next level, per se, I guess.
Let's talk about a little bit what your expectations were when we first started working together, because I know that was a little bit different than what actually happened.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, what do you think?
Well, you hired a trainer to go to the next level physically, right?
Yep.
Like, to be pushed really hard, to do all these different things.
Yeah.
And then the experience, what was that like?
Because I'm honest,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this, so it's not nothing new to you. Like, the first workout, I was like, the fuck is this? Like, when you see people like on Instagram or whatever, like these guys going through workouts with trainers, it's like level 15, this guy's just yelling and screaming at you and, like, you know, pushing you to a different level, right? Mm-hmm. But you were so smart with how you train, is that why would you want to kick somebody's ass the first day and never want them to come back? So I was expecting this huge, like, intense physical workout, and it was the complete opposite. You were still pushing me, but you were just getting me through the basics and getting me prepared for the next steps in our workouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My process for helping somebody increase their level of fitness or whatever they're trying to be healthier is not to slam them.
Yeah.
With,
you do it methodically.
with whatever. It's not to kill you in a workout. It's not to throw a bunch of different things at you to try to process and digest at once. I want to slowly bring you along.
Yep.
And anybody can give you an intense, hard workout, but that doesn't mean you're going to get results from it.
Correct.
And so that's just the way that I do things.
Yeah.
And it was different than what you were expecting.
100%.
But you stuck with it.
Yeah. Because even at like the beginning, I may not have understood the concept. I had faith in you or trust in you that there's a reason why people are, not trainers. You have clients.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a reason why. You're doing something right. And when I know I'm probably going to butcher it here, but you work with high-level achievers and CEOs as like your
Entrepreneurs.
And
high
so
achievers,
when
yeah.
I saw that, that was like, okay, that's where I'm going in life. That's why I want to connect with this guy. And I've been thinking about stepping up my game. And, you know, the sign said on Facebook, fucking, I had this friend Corey, this is what he does, so that's what I did. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it goes back to like trusting your gut on, you know, when things come in your life and, you know, what you're looking for to pursue those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then we went to, I was doing a workout that you didn't agree with, but you still let me do the workout and you tailored it to me so I didn't
overtrain or work yourself,
Yep.
beat yourself up.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the guy. The guy was just a different level of training, a different mindset than you with your training.
Yeah.
But you were able to not be set in your ways, that you were able to break it down and say, okay, this is what I take out of this. This is what I think you should do. Now try this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because what were we doing? 4x 30 freaking chest flies or some shit?
Yeah, we did like 5 exercises of the same muscle group for like 20 to 30 reps each set.
Yeah.
And it was a ton of volume.
Yeah.
And not everybody is ready to take that amount of volume on.
No.
And not sacrifice joint health and how they're feeling physically and running themselves
thing I wanted
down,
to get onto, yeah.
being very fatigued, and then that's going to affect how you work. It's going to affect your family life. It's going to affect how you sleep.
Yeah.
Not everybody can take that amount of volume.
And that's the thing is, like, that guy who was doing it, in my opinion, now looking back at it, it was a beginning training program for a bunch of people in our Uncaged group. And I don't understand how even a lot of those people were able to go through it because of the high volume.
Well, you can go through it. You're just going to be incredibly sore. You're not going to want to move.
And then if you're getting back
you're going to be
into
able to
work,
survive it because it's only 12 weeks. So you'll be able to survive it.
if you want to survive it, if you have the right mindset. But if you're getting back into working out, and this is the thing I know from personal experience, is anytime I would get back into the workout phase, I would always push myself, or probably push myself too hard those first few weeks. And a lot of people then get so sore that they don't want to go back to the fucking gym.
Yep.
So I then tailored, when I first got, before you, when I was getting back into the workout, I remembered those past experiences and started putting in lower volume, lower weight, and realized there's a bigger picture later on that you needed to go baby steps and get it, to get there.
Which is health and fitness.
Yeah. And
It is baby steps on your road to this goal that you have.
And
it's not going to happen in a month.
No.
It's not going to happen in a week.
No.
It's not going to happen in one workout. Me?
Yeah.
My entire life.
Exactly. So I've now, in my viewpoint, is my training, I would say I've done in the past 2 to 3 years has been my training of my, have I been consistent all the time? No. But it's been the past 2 or 3 years.
You've been pretty damn consistent since we started working together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this past year for sure. But before, like when I did my first 75 hard, but compared to like the other ones, there was always that gap that I went back off my routine and wasn't consistent. Like some guys, like I know a guy we know, Andrew Horgan, he's been training since 2007 or 9. So he's got 10 to 11 years of and you can see the fucking results in the kid. Do you see his?
He's got incredible genetics.
Oh, did you see his photo of like back in high school to like now? It's like
he's massive.
Yeah, like that's 11 years.
More than that. 15.
15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 15 years.
To
so that goes back to the point of like I was gonna say was a lot of people get lost chasing their goals and their dreams because they see the big picture, but they don't realize the small steps that they're doing every day, and they're not getting those results every day. Like they're not getting quick, instant.
Well, yeah, it's instant gratification. They're seeing, they have this big dream.
Yep.
They think after I do 15 of this, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be at my big dream.
Yep.
Which is false. No matter what your dream is, it's gonna take years.
Yeah.
Unless you've found somebody that can accelerate that, like somebody that's doing already what you're doing and they're actually holding your hand through it.
Yep.
Or
like you holding my hand in my physicals here? No.
No. You've put in a lot of work before that. So you have to realize this is going to take a lot more time than you think.
Yes.
And it's going to put a lot more work than you think.
Yeah.
And if at any point you stop doing the work, that's going to delay.
Yeah.
How long it's going to take you to get to that goal.
And depending on what your purpose is too, if you don't have a purpose behind what you're doing, it's easier to fall off your routines.
Well, I would say purpose is tricky because I would say at the very beginning of my personal training and coaching career, didn't have a purpose.
You were just doing it to do it?
I enjoyed doing it.
Yep.
I didn't know, I didn't have this big picture, big purpose of what I was going to do. I was just, this is something I enjoy doing, so I'm going to do it. And it took me a while to even create a vision of how my life is going to fit into this.
Yep.
It took me a while to have bigger goals and bigger dreams. Because at the first 2 years, I'm like, I never want to be a business owner. I told myself that.
Okay.
Because I watched how things were going here and saw a lot of the headaches.
Yep.
I'm like, why do I want that hassle?
Yeah.
And then as I matured and have gone deeper into this, I've become to have a purpose, become to have more of a passion.
What's your purpose now?
My purpose is really super simple. It's to serve people on their journey.
I love it.
It's through health and fitness because that's what I enjoy doing and what I have the most experience with. Thank you. I appreciate that. But it's honestly just to serve the person where they're at and where they're trying to go.
Yep.
And that's why I'm able to not do my own training and do somebody else's workout plan for you because it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about you, what you're about, where you're trying to go, and how I can enhance that.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what I think. Even though there's been plenty of times where I've wanted somebody to do something that I wanted.
Yep.
And has nothing to do with them.
Yep.
Like I'm projecting what I want for them onto them.
Because you see the better in them, or you see their potential, right?
No, not necessarily.
No?
I think it's a part of stubbornness for me.
You're stubborn?
Yes. Very stubborn. And me wanting something for somebody else that they don't want.
Yeah, that's huge, dude. That's hard.
It's projecting my dreams essentially onto them.
Yep.
And
Because you couldn't accomplish it, and you think they could
I don't
do
know.
it?
I don't know if it's I can't accomplish it. It's because I want everybody doing the same thing as me or something like that.
Okay.
I really don't quite know.
Yeah.
But it's really frustrating when they're not doing the thing that you want them to do.
Like probably when I was frustrating you a few months back, 6 months ago, and I wasn't always following through on like tracking my food or my diet and shit like that.
Not necessarily.
No? Okay.
No. Because I didn't want that for you.
What did you want from me?
Nothing.
Oh. You just wanted a paycheck. Got it.
No. You've known that the entire
No,
time.
I know.
But so something I'm still learning and working through on myself is not projecting what I want on other people.
Yep.
Because A, it's frustrating as hell, and B, they don't want it, so why would they do it?
I feel that with some of my employees as an owner is,
That's also frustrating is when
yeah.
you trying to help somebody on a certain path,
Yep.
but they may not want to be on that
Yeah,
path.
yeah. And so my biggest thing is how I correlate messages and people, and depending on the way you come off on it, some people think that you're trying to one-up people with stories. I take people's information and I bring it back to myself, and then I express an example of it. And it's not me one-upping anybody, it's how I can process information. So that's where I'm going to go with this next thing is like, fuck you. When you're talking about like the dream or like the
Wanting it for somebody else.
yeah, wanting it for
the
somebody
path.
else. Yeah, for the employees. Yep, there we go. Is like with my employees, I'm definitely on a different mindset than a lot of people in life, and you are too, of how we think. And it's for me, it's trying to figure out how to then help. I would say not raise, but help grow and develop my employees.
Yeah.
Because they're not there. Yeah, they make money, and that's maybe some people's thing is that they just want a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I've now converted how I view my business and my employees is I'm helping them develop into better people.
Yeah.
And that's my main focus and vision too, is like we are now serving, Patriot Lawn Landscaping is serving our community, helping keep the community safe with, our snow removal processes, or helping add value to their property through lawn care processes or whatever services we can add. And now I'm trying to add more value to my employees to help grow them. So if they ever decide to leave Patriot Lawn Landscaping, then they're ready for their next job they're leaving me in a different place than they were when they first came there.
You're trying to get them ready for life.
Yeah.
Like
It's
any
what my
any coach.
It's like exactly what Yauk did for us
Yeah.
when he coaches Milton wrestling in high school. It's more than just wrestling. He's developing boys into men and getting them ready for fucking life. Like wrestling is I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for wrestling or him as my coach.
Right. Any good or great coach, I should say,
Yeah.
is going to help you develop as a person.
Yep.
Just as much as they're going to help you develop as an athlete.
Yeah.
They're going to realize that you're giving these people skills for life.
Yeah.
And you're trying to help them get out of their own way.
Yeah.
See the light and see how much better their life could be.
Yep.
And I think that's the tricky part of being, a business owner with employees is you're trying to somehow relate that personal development is going to better your life.
Yes.
And a lot of people see it as self-help.
Yeah.
Like, these woo-woo books. What am I going to learn from this shit?
Yep.
And
I was the same way.
Yeah, I used to think the same way, right? And then I've heard many people just shit on self-help.
Yeah.
I like to call it self-development because self-help has such a bad
I use personal
connotation.
excellence.
Andy Frisella.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's hard to, even just relating back to my journey and Dave giving me books that actually interested me because they were about sports.
Yep.
And so that was an easy bridge because he knew I love sports. He knew I love being an athlete, and bridging that into self-development, personal development, was the key for me. And you just got to find that. You got to figure out how to relate it to their life to where they're going to be like, oh, I get it.
Yep. And you
This
have to
is why.
remember too, like we were saying, is they may not be ready for it. They may not.
Usually they're not. Yeah.
No, and they're not. No one is ever going to change until that person is ready for it.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. My buddy Sam, when he got sober, he was trying to help me not get sober, but to make me realize, what my choices were at that point in time weren't for the better, and that he would help me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't ready at that point to accept it. That I just blew it off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my personal experiences are the exact same. Somebody can tell me something a million times. It'll go one ear out the other until I want to make that change.
Or somebody else says it to you, and it's a different person.
Yeah,
Like my wife
they
will
said it a
say
different
something to
way,
me
yeah.
numerous times, and then we'll just say Joe says something to me, and it connects to me, and I bring it back to my wife, and she
Yeah.
goes, I've been
I
fucking
just-
telling you that for fucking weeks.
Yeah.
But now that Joe says this, now it makes sense to you?
Right. Yeah, it's either a different person or a different message
Yeah.
wrapped up differently. It's the same message but wrapped up differently
Yeah.
in the way that they say it.
Yeah.
The way that they present it, that it clicks with you.
Yep.
Right? Or it's just you needing to hit enough walls, be frustrated enough, get sick and tired of
Being
your
sick
life.
and tired.
Yeah, getting sick and tired, being sick and tired, or be on the path that you're on and realizing I have a bigger dream, I have a bigger goal
Yep.
for my life, and this clearly is not going to get
And that's
me
what
there.
happened with me with alcohol.
Yeah.
I was sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired of being a fucking drunk and having my life surrounded by alcohol and partying and being at the bar, that I woke up and made a change one day.
Was it an instant change or did it take a while?
What's that?
Was it instant change? I woke up, never drink alcohol again.
Yeah. Yeah, August 16th of 22, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think
That's impressive because some people can make that decision,
Yep.
but it still takes them weeks, months, years
Yeah.
to actually
I think
fulfill
what
it.
happened, what made it a little bit easier per se, is I had done 75 hard once or twice beforehand.
And that's
that
no
had-
alcohol.
That is no alcohol for 75 days. So
Yeah.
I already knew I could live without alcohol, but then I would go back to my old habits.
Yeah.
And then once you get
So it wasn't like you just made that decision that day. Right?
Correct.
You had previous experience of
Yes.
giving it up.
But I knew I was losing my family and my wife if I wasn't going to make that change, because I was drinking away the sorrows of Autumn passing away.
Yeah.
And that's what really connected. So it was a switch that day, but it was also another day that I believe I started 75 hard on that time again. I'll have to go back and think of what time that was, but yeah.
Well, you mentioned it, so we got to go down it.
What's that?
Autumn passing away.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Rate that from your childhood to that. Like, what's the emotional experience through that? Like,
There's no emotion. You can't even rate it. It fucking sucks.
it's worse than your childhood.
Yeah.
And not having like love from your mother.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's two different levels. I think the level...
Obviously, it's not the same thing.
Correct. Because I had Autumn in my life, so we'll say 9 months when she was being cooked in my wife's belly.
Yep.
Then 6 months of being, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months of being with her, compared to 30 years of trauma from my mom. You're talking two different time frames.
Yep. But also, that's a piece of you.
Correct. It's a huge piece of me. It's why I am who I am today, honestly. My wife and I...
It's also a piece of you as a human being.
Yes. Yeah. And it developed me into being a better person. Those kind of things typically, probably statistically...
One of two things can happen.
Yes.
You either become more of an alcoholic.
Yep.
You drive your life into a worse hole.
Yep.
Or you do exactly what you did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is
fucking changed.
clean up your act.
Yeah.
Become a better person.
Become a better father, become a better husband, become a better friend, do everything better. And now I have this, I always perform better under stress. I always put and my mom reminds me of this, and she sends me these loving messages on Facebook. Leslie. So
Yes.
anytime I refer to mother, Leslie is my mother.
Yeah.
Judy's biological. I wouldn't be here obviously without her, but she's not my mother. She messaged me on Facebook, and she always means well with her messages, and I have to now learning taking things personally is I can't get defensive when people make or send messages to me just because they might not be in a different mindset as me. They're still looking out for my best interest, and I love and care for my mother, and I respect her. That's why I take her advice and process how she sends messages to me and whatnot. And she goes, I always, the other day, she's like, just remember, when you're taking all this information from other people, this is their life, that you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to make sure you're living up to whatever they're saying, which, at first takes me, well, no, I want to get to that level, but at the same time, she's right, because I do work so well under stress. I do put a lot of stress on myself because I want to reach these fucking goals that I have and these dreams that, I can get distracted of. And you've helped me with recovery. I didn't even know what fucking recovery was when I was training for this marathon, because when I get set on something, I just fucking go and just keep on going. And
Through all the aches, through all the pains.
yeah, it doesn't matter. I push through fucking anything, and that kind of is what happened with Autumn. Is I had no other choice in my mind than to be strong for my family at that point in time.
So you're not shedding tears. You're not showing any weakness.
Yeah, no. And when Adam was born, November 9th, we were, Lincoln, he was med-flighted the first day when he was born because he had a pneumothorax in his heart. So we'd already gone through the NICU process. We've already been to the fucking hospital with our first son. And we thought we were ready, going out the door, getting ready to leave. And the doctor comes in and goes, yeah, so we're going to have to send Autumn to Rochester. And Emily and I look at each other like, the fuck are you talking about? And then don't remember exactly. I believe it's the pulse ox. They do a test between your finger and your toe, and the numbers were not within the right guidelines.
She was below a certain blood oxygen level.
Yes. Yep. And without that testing, people would have gone home, and their kids would get really sick. I think this has developed in the past 15, 20 years. This new test that has saved a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, so I guess we're going to fucking Rochester again. Emily's in a tremendous amount of pain. My mom was there, Leslie, and her and I got in the car and we fucking drove to Rochester and we were with her. And then Emily came a day or two later. And so she had 3 things wrong with her heart. There was a hole, a valve messing. My wife is really good at all this technical stuff because looking back, I pushed all this out because I thought she was just going to get over it.
Yeah.
And my wife has always been so strong with the kids that I saw myself as the working individual, provider for the house, that I didn't have to do much for the kids. And this is something I do look back at, and now I put more time in with Callie because I wasn't always fully present for Autumn. And does it hurt me? Yes, because I was still drinking after she was born, after I got off 75 hard, doing stupid shit, and I was afraid to administer medication to my own daughter because I didn't want to hurt her more. Yeah. And my wife took all that responsibility on, and she's a fucking saint for doing it. She had no other choice either, but I regret, I guess there would be that one regret, is I didn't put more time into Autumn when she was around. Yeah. And I think that's what fuels me now, too, is to make sure I am living in every moment with my kids and not missing that little shit like I did with her. Right. So, yeah, she had the 3 heart things, emergency surgery, 2 weeks later, fully recovered. It was like the high-risk surgery, but we had no doubt she was going to be fine. Right. So, made it through that, then she had to have another surgery 6 months later or whatever. And we went there in April, and she was sick. And they're like, yeah, we shouldn't do the surgery, wait a little bit, and whatever. So hindsight, we looked at it as that Autumn wasn't ready. She might have known she was this is how we view it. She wanted 1 more month with us. Yeah. My wife and I have chosen to look at the positive out of this tragic situation. Yeah. And she helped me do that a lot. The eulogy she wrote was fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. We took everything about Autumn's death and made it and took the positive everything. How many people she impacted that we didn't even realize. I've gotten messages on Facebook and shit of people I haven't even talked to in years, and saying, hey, your strength through this time helped me with this, or I think about your daughter and she helped me remember, that kind of shit, dude. I didn't realize how impact this 6-month-old girl could have statewide, literally, people all across the states have messaged us that are related to us in some way, shape, or form, and that's what she did for them. Mm-hmm. That's just and crazy. So,
it's incredible.
She was born in 2022, right? No, 21.
I don't know. I'm not. There you go.
What's it? You got 21. So I did my first 75. I'm just going to tie this whole story into fucking together full here. So my first time, my faith with God and everything really started happening on September 15th or 16th when I was in my shitty ways, and he got a message was saying to me, hey man, you talked about doing 75 hard. You've been talking about for a few years. Fucking do it. So I started doing that, and what I look back now is God was getting me ready for this journey of dealing with Autumn. Yeah. Being able to be mentally strong to handle what was about to happen. Yeah. And so then, so that got me through. Autumn was born, was still on 75 hard, made it through the whole process. Ended up the day after Thanksgiving. I felt bad. My birthday was there. I think it was my 30th birthday. Emily threw a surprise birthday in the cities for me. I started drinking again. Yeah. Big snowstorm happened December 10th. Emily drove home from the fucking snowstorm because she was sick of being at the hospital with her mom. I worked 60-plus hours that weekend wrapping up the snow event because people think I'm stupid, but when I have a purpose, or my job is to serve others and make sure their snow is removed properly or whatever, I'm too stubborn to fucking quit. I just will get the job done. So me and another employee, Brogan, at the time, that's what we did. We just we had no other choice. We both always used to joke to each other, we're too stupid to quit. And honestly, we are. And so yeah, that happened, got through that. I started drinking back my ways or whatever. And then another message from God. Hey man, really should do 75 hard again, get back on your ways. So I have to look back. I think it was February 1st or March 1st or something. Started back on 75 hard. And that was now looking back at it, getting me ready for her passing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I went through the surgery, and Emily and I knew something wasn't right. Just was taking longer than usual. Weren't getting back, the doctors weren't getting to us, blah, blah, blah. And you know, we're sitting there and just whatever. So I go back to the hotel that night, get my second workout in, and I've got thousands of songs on my iPod, or my phone, right? And I hit the shuffle, and the first song that came on was Give Heaven Some Hell. And at that point, I knew
she wasn't going to make it.
That was it. And then woke up at 3 a.m. to a voicemail from the doctor, hey, you need to get here. There was complications or whatever. I don't remember all the full story.
Right.
Then I think it was 7 or 8 a.m. Doctor came in and said we have to go talk in the boardroom. And when they give you that message that your daughter's brain damage and there is no turning back, that basically you have to pull the fucking plug on your daughter, the amount of emotions that roll through, and your wife is fucking bawling next to you, and the doctors are crying. I can't even describe. I would never even want to put that on my worst fucking enemy.
Well, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can getting see. A little bit teary out here.
No,
I can feel it.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of how I am. It takes me a lot to cry. So, and you know, everyone who knows me, you know, I cried the night she passed away. I remember bawling my eyes out in the hotel room. I remember thinking, why me? You know, everything that a parent goes through, or even anybody who loses a child or a spouse or any fucking thing in life. But yeah, in that boardroom, I was so fucking angry. Like, what do you mean you killed in my viewpoint, it's like, what do you mean you killed my daughter? Like, that's all I could think about. It's like, your job is to do fucking surgery. You had one job. You said it was like a 90% success rate, and you're telling me that you failed the 10%? Like, there was no, like, we've gotten answers per se, like the big terminology reports, whatever, and I hold nothing against Mayo. They're a credible hospital. And everything like that, it's just when you're processing that information, you know, then you have to start fucking calling your family. You have to call your mom, your dad, your mother-in-law, father-in-law, and be like, hey, do you guys want to drive to Rochester to say your goodbyes to your grandbaby?
Yeah.
Like, and this is nothing about me trying to show how strong I was or any fucking shit like that. Like, I had no other choice. I couldn't sit there and wallow. I couldn't sit there and bawl my eyes out. That's how I viewed it.
Right. In your mind, you have no other choice but to show strength.
Yeah.
You're the rock for the family.
Yeah. And I had people saying, you know, it's okay to let down. It's okay to cry. And I'm like, I don't know if it was the way I was processing it, but like I couldn't. Like it did later on, but like at that point in time, I knew there was 20 plus people who were going to be coming in and out of this hospital to say goodbye to a piece of their family that we're never going to see again. Mm-hmm. And you know, it can change a person, right? Like for me, that changed me into. I think that was the process of me becoming me now. Of being able to handle shit like that. Like Yauk told me a few weeks ago when we were going to go see Jordan B. Peterson, like, because he's way more been on his faith journey a lot longer than I, and I need to ask him again how he said it because it hit me so well. It's like, not a lot of people get connected with God, but you're on a different level because of what he did, and something about bearing the cross or the burden or something like that along those lines. And when he said that to me, I'm like, yeah, there's no other don't get me wrong. When I lose my dad, which I hope is fucking years from now, or my mother or my sisters, right. Like, yes, there'll be a different...
Losses hurt.
Yes. Yeah. But nothing will be as loss of a fucking child.
Yeah. Every parent's fear is losing a child.
Yeah. Nope.
And going through it.
Yeah.
It has to change you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to, like you said earlier, it's going to do two things. It's going to lead you down the hole of hell, or it's going to make you become a better person. And you have a choice, and you have to decide what that's going to do. And my wife and I, and everyone tells us, oh, you're so strong, I can't believe you did that. And we both jokingly are like, we had no fucking other choice. What other fucking choice? I'll say this, if we didn't have Lincoln, I think things would have been a lot different.
Right. Because you still have a child that you need to serve and you need to
Correct.
love and help grow.
Yep. I think Lincoln is a reason why we were able to come out of it the way we did, because we still had that other purpose now of providing for this son.
When you have such more appreciation,
Yes.
just because you just lost a child,
Yeah.
you still have this child. You're going to be grateful. You're going to appreciate. You're going to love this child even more because of what you've gone through.
Yep.
And it's created, I'm going to say it, man, you're a very great human being.
I appreciate that.
You're a loving father. You are a loving father.
Yeah.
You are a loving husband.
I'm getting better.
You're very present.
I try to be.
And everybody's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We're always going to be work in progress, and we should be.
Yep.
And you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to watch it, man.
No, I appreciate that. And it's like, yeah. No, yeah. It is what it is at this point in time. But like the biggest thing out of the whole autumn thing, I would say, is, my relationship with my wife has never been better because of it. I've learned that I can overcome anything that gets fucking thrown my way. It's just the impact that she had, and I'm going to rephrase this, is like, you just don't know your daily actions of the people who are watching you or the people who are in the background. You owe it to the others in your life to be the best fucking person you can be, because you don't know who's looking up to you.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people were looking up to Autumn per se, and what the meaning of life was to them in other aspects.
Right. You never know who's watching. You never know who you're actually impacting. Because a lot of people that just aren't going to say anything. But they're watching you.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to grow as a person too.
Yeah.
You're this leader of it, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast,
I
Dylan.
appreciate it, man.
This has been the Inner Journeys Outer Ventures podcast. We'll see you next time.